Okay, here we are. We're actually just outside of Vienna hardwoods, but we're going to take a look and see if they have any nice walnut for this table. So you can kind of get a feel for what the facility looks like. It's basically just some commercial buildings, and there's a garage right around the corner. So wish me luck. Hopefully the next time I turn this camera on, I'll be the proud owner of about 28 board feet of walnut. Okay, the looking continues. Those boards were a little bit too skinny, not as straight as I wanted. So hopefully I can find something a little better. I have 3 more sources to check out. I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed, and we'll take it day by day. Hope everybody's doing well. Okay, we're recording. We're back from Accokeek, Maryland. Took me a few hours to get there and back. The person who we bought the wood from has a small sawmill, and he's a retired Department of the Interior person. And I was able to pick up this walnut right here on the floor. We just loaded it from the car. It's about 60 board feet or so. It should be enough. It's actually beautiful. Let me just zoom on it a little bit. I'm happy with the purchase. Got to figure out how to turn all this into a nice square and flat walnut table. Okay, so it's Friday evening, the 14th. We got the football games tomorrow. We're gonna be thinking about how to do this. I'll be multitasking, watching the games, and thinking about the walnut. All right, so here we are. So we're day 0 of the table build. We're going to start by getting the work area set up. I'm hoping to scooch that table down a little bit, create some more room over here, and that'll give us some room to put these 7 to 9 foot boards on, see what they look like, see what the grain looks like, and see how the board should start to come together. So today is just initial setup, some light layout, and hopefully we can make some progress on thinking exactly how this board should be laid out and jointed together. Okay. I'm not going to reset the angle of the camera, so here we are. So we've got a couple things set up. We're waiting on some dimensions. We're waiting on a moisture meter to see where that is at. Once we get that done, then I'll start laying out the boards and figuring out exactly where the wood's going to come from. I think one other thing, it's kind of weird, I can't tell if I'm straight. Here we are, let's make this adjustment. Here we go. Okay, so one other thing that has to happen is I need to clean off the tops of the boards so that when they go through the planers, the dirt doesn't dull the blades and then it creates all kinds of havoc and everything. So for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to be scraping the boards and I'm cleaning up the tops. And I'm trying to get rid of any dirt and stuff, any residual debris that shouldn't go through the planers. Okay, so day one of cutting, I'm going to try and lay out maybe one or two pieces and do the rough cuts to see how the saw works and to check on how the track the saw is cutting and to see if the saw is even strong enough to cut through the walnut. Anyway, so we've got our first piece laid out, just set on the workbench. You can kind of see it right there. I'm going to start laying some things out, make a cut or two, see if I like how the saw is working, and then think some more. Because obviously, when you make a cut and you make the wood shorter, I can't make it longer again. So I'm trying to make as many accurate cuts as possible to make the table look as nice as possible. Okay, so that was the first cut, and so what happened was the board is slightly cupped like this, and so when I started cutting it, it came down and it pinched the blade. So that's something I have to consider for the rest of the cuts, but I did learn a lot. I ended up finishing the cut with that Japanese pull saw, and so I'm actually happy with it. I didn't get any splintering. I had to guess as to what was square, so we'll see if I was able to optimize the width of the board with that estimated angle. Actually, staring at it right now, it looks like I'm pretty good. So next two cuts I think are going to be lengthwise. I'm going to set those up and see how we do. Okay, so that's two cuts. I learned a lot on the lengthwise and on the short one. I'm going to think about how this worked and what will work for the next time. Either get a little more accurate, a little more efficient, and see if I can figure out a way to have the saw cut all the way through the wood. Because right now the wood is slightly bowed, and what's happening is as the saw carries over, the bowed portions are causing the saw not to reach the bottom and not cut all the way through. So I'm going to see if I can figure out a way to fix that. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy with how the rough cutting is going, and I'll keep working on the pieces, to bring them into rough size, and then eventually I'll start, tightening up the sizing so we get closer and closer to the pieces that will actually be placed in the table. Okay, so we've done a little bit of rough cuts. We've got one board that's rough cut up. We've got another one that's all marked up to go. This one's marked up. I've done one cross cut, and then I'm going to keep going. So hopefully this morning I can make some progress doing a lot of rough cuts, getting most of the boards into rough shape. And then once that's done, then we'll figure out how level they are and what kind of level it needs to be done before we take them down to final thickness. Okay, there we go. So we made some good progress today. It's Saturday afternoon. So what we've done here is I've roughed out all the wood. And so now it's a little bit wider than each plank needs to be, a little bit longer than each plank needs to be. Now I need to look at how the wood is, whether it's, some of it's a little bit bowed, up and down. Some of it's a little thinner than and thicker than others. So I have to look at it and see how this thing's gonna get cut up. I'll just show you real quick so you can kind of see. Okay, so there's the thickness. And then if you come to this center one, you see how that's 1 7/8 inches, but it's nice and flat. All these other ones are taller, plus we have some cracks I have to deal with. But if I show you around this side, you can kind of see that this one is bowed. And so I have to deal with that. I have to look exactly what's going on, see what I have to do to take this down, to get rid of that. So all the pieces lay nice and flat, and it's a nice flat table. Anyway, having fun today. This is a lot of fun doing it. First time working really with Walnut. Hopefully this thing will continue to make progress, and at the end we'll have something everybody's happy with. All right. Okay, so we're going to try and start, well, we're not going to try, we're actually going to start leveling the boards. So what does that mean? That means that we're going to set up the thickness planer, and here are the boards to be leveled. Here's the first one I'm going to try and level. Well, I will level, make it more level. And you can see that there's that space I showed it last time. So we're going to send it through a few passes, give it some time to rest over a couple of days, and see if that helps. So we're going to set up the jig, put some reinforcements underneath, just right under here, put some reinforcements, and then send it through the thickness planer and start shaving off a 32nd at a time. So we'll do a few passes, maybe 1 or 2, and see how it goes, and we'll reassess after that.
Workforce after I was unemployed for a very
Okay, so learned a lot.
just so overwhelmed.
Just started to mill these things out to try and make them as flat as possible.
In our area.
And so some of the boards started out flatter. They were a little easier to do. The one that had a big bow in it, I took a couple of passes through, and we're going to see what happens in the next couple of days to see if the board repositions or if it flattens out a little bit now that I've taken off some of the thickness on one side. So sometimes the wood will actually straighten itself out a little bit or actually curve even more. So I want to see what it does in a few days. I'll keep working on the other boards and slowly inch our way towards flat. And just the Lila thing, I have not been listening to that. Well, it's been on, but the headphones are on, so I haven't heard it. So I don't know if I endorse that as far as shop music goes. And so there's, that's just the natural wood color. A little bit of a line right here, got to get rid of two of them, where I kind of stopped in the planer, and so it created a slight line. It's got to get sanded out or through the planer one more time. So I'm actually happy with the color. It's a nice black walnut. I think it's going to look fantastic. Anyway, it's Wednesday night the 2nd. Hope everybody's doing well, and until next time. Okay, so we're getting close to finishing with the thickness planing. I have probably one or two more pass, well, one pass more for each of these 4 boards. And then once the thickness planing is done, the next step is going to be to do an initial layout and then start to think about the inlays. Need to touch base and see, what the design is going to be or any ideas on the design. And then we'll start laying out and start patching boards with some epoxy and come up with the inlay designs, if any. And then once that's done, we'll start doing those and then start doing some work down in the basement where it's warmer and those epoxies can work. Okay, so that's a milestone. All the original thickness planing is done. Maybe there'll be some touch up after we do the inlays, after I do the inlays and the epoxy. But that's a milestone. So all the the thickness planing is done. And so if things go well from this point forward, the tabletop is going to be a little less than 2 inches. It's going to be about 1 3/4 inches thick, which is a nice thickness. That's what they usually sell on Etsy. Okay, so did a little work without the camera running. Basically just cut off all the white pieces from the boards. So now we've got a table that doesn't have any more sapwood on the surface. You can actually see it though, so it's going to be visible underneath. Really nothing we can do about that. So there's the sapwood, but it doesn't actually breach the surface. So the whole tabletop should be nice and walnutty. Next steps are going to be patching the holes with some epoxy, filling the cracks with epoxy, and then straightening out the joints. So some of them are nice and tight. This one looks pretty good. So each joint I have to look at, and then when necessary, I'm going to straighten them out using a router bit. And that monster straight edge, bought an 8-foot straight edge, which is also level, so it'll come handy for other things. But that should give me a nice straight line, hopefully, and we can get some nice straight joints between boards. Anyway, that's the update. As progress continues, I'll continue to vlog in and give updates. All right, we've started the wood prep. It's the evening of Stephanie's 33rd birthday. And this is the first thing I'm doing on the wood, so I figured I'd take a quick video. So what's going to happen is, well, right now there's a little bit of a crack on the wood. Got some glue in there. Take the clamps off, scrape that wood down, see if we can save that little sliver of the wood. So that way when I trim it up, I don't have to take off a good, 3/8 of an inch in order to reach some nice straight lines. But this wood is actually in here to fix these cracks. So they're going to get filled with epoxy to make a nice solid tabletop. And the epoxy is going to do a good job. So fill that hole. We'll fill this one right here, and whatever other spots we see on these two pieces. And then once these two pieces are done, we'll bring them outside and bring the next two down. So we have to work in the basement. I have to work in the basement right now because the temperature outside is too cold. The epoxy just won't set up. Anyway, that's a quick update from Table Central. Okay, first lift is done. We're gonna let that dry. It actually went well. I'm happy with the coloring, and it's starting to set up. And I'm gonna go ahead and move the camera over there so you can see what's going on. Whoops. So you can see that towards the top, it's actually got good fill, but then towards the bottom, you can kind of see how the groove is just swallowing up all the epoxy. So it's going to take a couple more lifts for it to be finished. And that one's doing a little better, but it's just going to be a process, back and forth, back and forth. Keep filling. We're just going to keep filling until that crack is done, and then we'll move on to the other couple boards and finish up the epoxy. Okay, so round two is done. We're going to keep adding epoxy, and as it settles in, we add a little more on top. It doesn't have to be perfect this round, but we're going to get all the major divots done and all the major cracks done. Then once the whole thing's jointed, I'll take one more pass at it and see if there's any more of the epoxy that's needed. But I'm pretty happy with how the results are right now. You can't really tell, but you can see that the crevice is actually getting filled in really well, and the epoxy is starting to mound on top of everything. This one here is going to have to get touched up again. I think I'll touch that one up one more time before I bring everything upstairs and bring the next set of boards down. Or maybe I'll leave that board down here and then get rid of this big board, bring it upstairs, and then bring the next one down, and keep going from there. Anyway, that's the update. Progress continues, slow but steady. Okay, so the epoxying is done, or at least for now. We may have a little more follow-up, and the next step is going to be sanding it down. So we're going to do that for a little bit, get as much done as I can tonight while I still feel like I'm being careful, and we'll see if we can get rid of some of these big globs just slowly and surely. So some over there, a little bit right here, and some right there. So that's the plan for tonight. Let's see how it goes. Okay, Saturday, February 26th, been monkeying around a little bit in the garage, trying to figure out how we're going to do the straight jig, the straight jointing, and this is what I've come up with. So basically, I've got a straight edge running down the board that's hopefully going to be straight. I've got it reinforced in a few spots, and I've got the board clamped to the table. Then I'm going to take a router and run it down the board and just shave a smidge off. And hopefully, if everything goes well, I'm going to get rid of these circles, which actually won't be visible because it's an inside board. But the more important question, or the more important thing, and what I'm trying to accomplish, is I'm trying to get this line to be nice and straight. So when two boards come together, the joint between them will be as tight as possible. Anyway, this is try number one. Hopefully it works, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so it's working. I was able to get some straight lines. I've done 3 of the 8 that I need to do. I'm just gonna keep banging them out. No reason to watch all the rest of it. It's just the same thing over and over and over again. Basically just using this straight edge as a fence. Then the router bit is nice and perpendicular, so it gives me a nice straight line here. And it seems to be confirmed by that level, which is hopefully straight as well. So things are going well. I'm just going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, which means I'm going to stop the tape and pick up at the next task. Okay, good morning. It's the 27th of February. I thought I was going to finish yesterday jointing. Actually, I left two more sides to do on one board. I'm going to finish that up this morning and then move on to the next task. So there's the board that's left to do. Both sides. And hopefully this won't take too long. I don't think it will. So we'll just get going right now. Okay, so that's that should be the last one as far as straightening out the edge of the board. So the next thing is going to be to do a final layout. We're going to put all the boards out, see how they look, line them up end to end, and that way I can start thinking about joining them together with the dowels. Okay, so the test fit said that most of the joints are good. This one is a little bit wobbly, so I'm going to redo this one, and hopefully that'll be all we need to do. Okay, so weather's on our side. Don't have too much battery. I have to go charge this up. This morning, I think it's the 19th of March. We're going to start by putting dowels in the joints. And so that way it'll help align it so that the boards meet smoothly like this, and it'll help with keeping them stable during the joining process. So anyway, so that's the plan for this morning. Drill a couple of holes, get the forced board going because we're well over 55 degrees this morning, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so first gluing is done. It's fairly straight. It's fairly flat as far as the boards go. Had to switch around the clamps because they were actually pulling it all up. So it seems to work better with all the clamps on the bottom. As you can see, we got a nice squeeze out. I'm gonna come back and clean that up in about a half hour, 45 minutes. Once the glue starts to set up, get rid of that. And I'm pretty happy with it. I think we got a nice tight seam on the first one. That's one of 4, so 3 more to go. Okay, Monday the 21st, first day of spring. I'm gonna do a little more drilling and gluing. We've got 2 of these 3 boards are attached to these 2, so we're gonna attach this one. And then this one's done over here. So slowly but surely, 4 seams, 2 of them down, 2 of them to go. Again, we're over 55 degrees. It's a nice start to spring, and I'm looking forward to making a little more progress on this today. Okay, so there we are. With the help of the Nona, we've got 3 boards glued together. I'm going to come back once the glue sets up, get rid of those little bubbles, and there'll be 1 more joint to go. So it's a nice Monday, the 21st of March, first day of spring, or maybe the second day. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe the 20th is the first day of spring?
It's the 21st.
So today's the first day of spring, and we're making slow but steady progress. Okay, it's Thursday, 11:15. We just glued up the last board. So it's actually nice and straight to the table. I'm happy with that. Hopefully the gap is nice and tight. or it's acceptable. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to deal with that to try and fix it. You can see the last line of glue. So that's the final table size. Well, almost the final table size. You know, maybe it's going to be a 16th narrower. And as far as the length goes, going to cut right along that pencil line, and that'll be the edge of the table on both sides. So that's a quick update. About 45 minutes from now, we're going to do some scraping, scrape that glue off, and then we let it set for a day and move on to the next step. Okay, I've got help from my lovely assistant. We're scraping glue right now.
No. It's still kind of wet. It's not as dry as the stuff the last time.
No, because there's so much squeeze out. There's a ton of glue squeeze out. If we have to wait more, we'll wait more. Should we wait?
Well, it seemed like it came off in chunk.
I mean,
as opposed to this wetness.
It should come off cleanly.
So what do you think? I don't know.
I think
It's still there. I don't know how you get that off.
sand it.
Oh.
Sand it off. Here, just give it a little bit of edge. See. Now. I'll wipe that off, and then now go back and try and get the loose stuff. Just run it. Perfect. That's it. So just do that.
That's it?
Yeah, just do that all the way down. Okay, so there you go. Okay, March 30th, Katie's birthday. Just sent her some well wishes on Insta and text. So now we're moving on to cutting the board. A little bit nervous about this. Want to make sure we get a nice clean cut, that it's square, and that we don't have many, if any, burn marks. So we're going to try it with the track saw first. If that doesn't work, I'm going to move on to other options, maybe the router. Let's see how it goes. All right, so we just finished cutting the second end. Happy with it, the second end as well. Really not too many burn marks, if any. I don't see any. We've got a little bit of epoxy, which I thought was going to happen on the two edges. And we actually have a little bit of the sapwood which is kind of shining through, but there's nothing really to do about that. Plus it kind of shows that it's solid walnut all the way through. I think it looks fine. So the next steps are going to be to turn this thing upside down, work on the bottom, get the bottom all set, and we're waiting on the C-channels to do the reinforcements and actually the legs. I had to send the second set of legs back because they were damaged also. So we're still waiting on a few parts, but there's a couple more things I can do before I run out of things to do, and I'm stuck waiting on parts. Anyway, that's the update. March 30th, Katie's birthday. Table take 7. Okay, so same day, March 30th. I'm getting bold in my old age here. We're gonna go ahead and try and spin that to put it bottom up. And this is gonna be the test to see if Mommy and I can actually lift this thing, or if we gotta start bringing in recruits every time we wanna spin the table. Wish us luck. Okay, tabletop junkies, God bless you for still watching this far. It's April 9th, Saturday morning. It's the first sanding day, so we're gonna give this a sand and see how the rough sections turn out, and you know, assess after that. There's one board, maybe I've mentioned it in the past, that is thinner than all the rest, and it's actually on the edge, but it had to be there because of the way the sapwood was lining up. So it's got a nice edge to the outside, so I put it on the outside of all the 5 boards. But unfortunately, it was slightly thinner than all the rest, and I didn't want to keep planing down to make all of them as thin as this board, because then the table would have been another 1/16 thinner, or perhaps a little more. So what I'm going to try to do today is sand it down, see what it looks like, see if it looks suitable, and you know, once the sanding's done, then I'm going to start thinking about putting hardware on the table, legs, the seat channels, and things like that. Anyway, again, thanks for watching this far. God bless you, and the progress continues. Okay, a little later Saturday morning, did the initial sand down to 60 grit, and there's still a couple of scratches that are visible, but when you actually touch it, you really don't feel it. It's just it's underneath. I think I'm better off not trying to make it deeper and then now have some type of swale. I think I'm better off actually just having it so that when you run your fingers on it, it still feels okay. So the other progress we have right now is I'm doing the layout, and it looks like we're going to go with about 55 inches or so between the legs, and then we are going to go with the 3 different seat channels. They'll be centered, they'll be 5 inches off, so it'll behave like a breadboard. So it should give some nice resistance to warping over time. I don't think that's going to be a problem. These boards are doweled together, so it should be okay. But anyway, that's the initial layout. I think the next step is going to be starting to set these seat channels. So I'll be back in a bit. Okay, after much setup, we're going to try our first cut on this seat channel. Had to switch fences. Got the blue tape down. Got where the channel should go, but marked in pencil. But it's still a work in progress. I'm still trying to figure out what's the best way to do this efficiently and quickly, and I haven't figured that out yet. So it's taking me a little bit of time. Okay, so I figured out how to do a little quicker. Basically, all I need to do is just do the first line and then measure off the first line to get the second one. It doesn't have to be exact. I was trying to get exact both lines, but that's actually not the way to do it. So the C channel's in for one. I'm going to do the other two. I'm not going to keep filming it. I'll save my viewers the agony. But once everything's all set and done, I'll be back with some more updates. So it's Saturday afternoon. It's moving day at the Masters. Wonder what's going on right now. It's about 3:15. So I suspect that the leaders are out on the course, maybe on the front nine right now. Anyway, hope everyone's having a great day. Okay, woodworking fans, Saturday evening, 5:30. So I had to make an executive decision today on the design. Changed it up a little bit. No center C channel, just the two on the ends. Reason being is I'm more concerned about making sure that this thing is rigid across its length between the legs than I am about twist. And the C channel helps with twist, but in order to put it in, you have to take material away. And so I'd rather have as much material as possible in the center to make this thing, keep it from swaling like that. There's no way it's going to. It's 2 inches thick. It weighs a ton. But I didn't want to risk it by undermining the center right at the highest point of torque or torsion right there in the center. The moment is the greatest right in the center. And so rather than undermine the strength of the wood right at the highest point of the highest moment, back to my structural engineering days, we're going without it. I'm going to put the legs in tomorrow. The screws to the legs are going to screw in both C channels tomorrow, and then lots and lots of sanding. Anyway, stay tuned. Okay, tabletop fans, it's Palm Sunday. Sunday at the Masters also. So I'm about to drill the metal things. I think they're called like Rambas or something. Basically, they're the inserts that you get from IKEA. The Ramba Pack 5. So I'm going to drill these things in so that the C channels have something to hold on to keep that board, to keep the tabletop from waving about, from knurling. And then also, once I get a couple dimensions, I'm going to start locating the legs. And the legs use these same Rambas to attach them to the bottom of the tabletop. Anyway, that's the plan. It's about noon on Sunday, April something or other, probably the 10th. Stay tuned. Okay, next task, still Sunday. We're gonna go ahead and brand the corner. So a little fire, a little smoke can happen. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Hopefully I get it right. Let's find out. Okay, so that's done. Now I figured out why people die in fires. That smoke inhalation really gets you very, very quickly after I got a good whiff of burnt walnut. Anyway, it's on. There it is. You can kind of see it. It's all set and ready to go. Hang on, I'll take it off. You can see a little better. All right. So you have it. So that should survive sanding. And then the one on this side, here we go again. The one on this side should survive sanding also. So table's been branded. Next thing to do is to set the legs. First I got to figure out the design, the placement on the legs. Then I'm going to go ahead and start drilling away. Okay, so we're doing a little layout. Laid out the first two. I'm going to go ahead and leave the video running for the next two. So there's going to be 4 leg positions, 2 options, the inside one, the outside one. I'm not sure which is going to work better, so I'm going to do 2, and hopefully one of them is suitable and works for a 6-person seating and perhaps even 8 if everybody gets in there real tight. Okay, so I just did all the drilling. So now I need to insert the ramp inserts, but that's not going to happen until after all the finish is done. I'm going to screw them in right at the end. I'm going to just start sanding now, top, and then the other side, round over both edges. I'm going to save you from all that, though. That's just going to be a lot of monotony, a lot of the same thing over and over and over again. The goal is to get it nice and smooth without any scratch marks. Anyway, wish me luck.
R-I-S-K-A-R.
Okay, so we're getting ready to epoxy. I'm headed downstairs to mix it up.
Yay!
And then I'm going to take it outside and start dripping into all the little imperfections that I can find.
Yay, Daddy.
Tuesday the
No,
13th.
it's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday the 13th of April.
6:40.
6:40. Oh, I didn't record any of that.
You didn't?
No, it wasn't on. Oh, actually, it was recording. I just hit the wrong button. I don't know. Okay, so it's Good Friday, April 15th. I've gone ahead and sanded the top to 180. Now I'm going to go ahead and round over the edges, see how that treats me, see whatever final sanding is needed, then we're going to flip it. So that's the top right now, and I'm happy with it. It's coming out flat. There's obviously the router I'm going to use to round over the thing, so just bear with me on this Friday morning, and hopefully we can make a little bit of good progress on this table. Okay, so the top is rounded over and sanded to 180. I think that's going to be it. Maybe I'll go to 220. We'll see how I feel after we're done. But anyway, now the back is we're bottoms up. Mom just helped me flip it, and I'm going to spend some time sanding. I'm not going to film this sanding. It's just more the same, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Anyway, it's 10:15 on Good Friday, April 15th, 4 days or 3 days from tax day. Okay, dining table fans, Saturday morning, we had a crack in the board, so I'm going ahead and putting in an inlay just to kind of patch the hole. So I've already cut that out. And now routing the hole in the table. So anyway, so wish me luck. It's only about the 5th time I've ever done something like this. So far so good. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so that's half the job. Now I need to go ahead and chisel out so that it gets just to the tape edges, and hopefully that's the that'll be the same size as the biscuit that I cut. So it's kind of like a hazel drill, you know, putting the bow tie figure in the bow tie space. Okay, so it's in. It's not perfect, but really nothing in this world is. So I'm happy with it. Let's see how it turns out once I sand it down. There it is. So I'm going to sand it down, and I think I got some good bonding. So hopefully that'll settle down that crack on the side, and you know, if it appears again, we'll either live with it or I'll fix it. We'll see how it goes. But there's the crack I'm talking about. Not really a big deal. Just something that, since it happened now, I wanted to make sure I do what I could to have the board settle in on itself, and I think that bow tie is going to help. Anyway, the table saga continues. Glad you're still watching. Okay, table fans, been a while since I worked on the table. We had a taco incident, so the table bowed because it was sitting on the insulation, and there was air on top but not air on the bottom. So anyway, so it's May 20th right now. It's about three and a half weeks since the bowing incident. I've gone ahead and installed a bracket on the ceiling. Oh, I missed a spot right there. I got to finish that. And so that's going to help create a finishing tent. So I'm going to hang plastic from it when we spray. But anyway, so as far as the straightness goes, it's about as good as it's going to get. So that's, you know, pretty natural right now. It's dead tight on the left. There's a little bit of a bow right there. That was actually probably from sanding. And on the right, it's pitching off just a wee bit. But I think it was like that when I made it. So maybe, maybe not. But anyway, sanding today. Hopefully tomorrow is finish day. Give it a good spray, let it set up, and hopefully the next couple of days this thing will be ready for delivery. Okay, table fans, it's Saturday the 21st, about 9 a.m. The spray booth is, for the most part, set up. I have to set up the gun, and we're going to go spraying. So we're going to see if this whole contraption works. The point of it is to prevent dust from the gun from getting put into the air, so that the table can you know, have as clean a finish as possible. And then the side light, as you can see, gives me a reflection, so you can tell what's been coated and what hasn't. And it's a great way to do finishes. You can just, you know, if you side light it like this, you can see what's going on really, really well. As far as the rest of the setup goes, you know, so the gun isn't actually out, but there's the new finish that I bought, and the sprayer is actually, you can see it out there. It's that little blue box. So that's what creates the air for the gun, and allows me to spray the finish. So anyway, a couple more final steps before I start going, and hope to have good news or a little more preliminary information in the next video.
Okay, got the mask on. Just did the first coat. I'm going to do one more and then we're going to spin it. So that's what the gun looks like. And take inside. And it's starting to darken up. So I'm happy with that. Going to give it about 10 minutes. I'm going to hit it again. Then we're going to let it go for an hour. And then we're going to spin it. So just looking at this angle right here, I can tell that there's a couple of spots that haven't really been hit deep enough yet, but I don't want to put it down too thick and then risk orange peeling, so I'm happy to go on thinner and more layers. Anyway, that's the spray update for all your table fans.
Okay, so 3 coats on the bottom, 2 coats on the top. Still making progress. The smell is fantastic without this mask on. With the mask on, it's barely, if anything, there. Probably need new cartridges. Anyway, it's coming along. Stay tuned.
Okay, table fans. Still got a big smell going on here in the spray booth, but it's 8:15 Saturday night. Just put down the last coat and sanded to 800 before that, and I'm real happy with it. I think it turned out really well. It's just a very nice durable finish with a hand rubbed effect. So anyway, there it is. Can't quite tell, but we use the side lighting so that when you're putting down the spray, you can actually see what's going on. So things that are left to do are hardware, C-channels, and maybe one final buffing. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if there's going to be a need for that or not. But I think as it sits right now, there won't be a need. But we'll see once 24 hours has passed, and take a look at it then. Anyway, that's the update. Got the mask on because the smell. It's still a lot of VOCs going on. Anyway, stay tuned for more action. And if you're still watching, thanks a lot.
Okay, Monday the 21st at 12:50, the spraying is done. I'm happy with it. The smell is fantastic. I just took my my mask off, and I got the mask nose. You can tell. I'm gonna go in here real quick. Wow, the smell is fantastic, but so is the look. So I'm happy with it. What's left to do is add hardware and give it a final buff, and that's it. So I don't know, hopefully we'll get this thing delivered in a couple of days and get started enjoying it. Hope all's well. Okay, table followers, it's Monday afternoon, 4:20. The table is the surface prep is done. We still need to add the C-channels and the anchors for the legs, but I'm real happy with how it turned out. It's a nice golden finish. It's a nice walnut color, and I'm real happy with it. So anyway, so there it is. You can't really tell in the video, but that's it. So we're gonna give it a day or so to set up and cure, although it's okay to touch right now. It's okay to touch. We'll let it cure another day, and we're gonna flip it. We're gonna put the hardware in. Oh, you can see the sheen there. I'm going to put the hardware on the bottom and the C channels, flip it back, right side up, and then it'll just sit here until it gets delivered. Anyway, hope you're having a great day. Monday the 21st of May. Looking forward to delivery day. Okay, table junkies, if you've made it this far, I'm proud of you. You're addicted. So I've got the C channels in, and now I'm about to put the legs on, and so I'm going to run a little time lapse. I've got just a few minutes left on the video card, and so I think actually the proportions look nice, so I'm happy with that. The legs have two different positions, so they can be switched from a smaller to an outside position. I'm going to install the connectors for both of those. So anyway, we're making headway. I have to do a little bit of adjusting on the holes. The finish jumped in there, and so it's binding just a little bit. I'm going to clear those out. Then I'm going to put the RAM pack connectors in. There you go. Okay. Anyway, it's Tuesday morning, 9:40. Glad you're still here. Okay, race fans, there it is. The legs are installed. C channels are installed. That's the table. Just got to be inverted. And actually the first time it's going to be inverted is going to be in North Carolina. So that way it's the safest time to do it. So I'm going to give it one more dusting just to clean it off. But I put the, so these connectors are available if the legs want to be moved from the outer position to the inner position, depending on what's more convenient for the chairs. And that's it. So the crazy journey is over. Okay, so thanks for sticking with us. It's been a great adventure, a lot of fun, learned a lot, and glad I did it and hope you guys enjoyed it. Ciao. Okay, table fans, here it is, installed and in place. And after its second use, we've got the baby Hazy set up. She's all ready to go. And there is the baby Hazy and the Nona. So that's the last installment. If you made it this far, thank you and congratulations. May the table last a very, very, very long time.